This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, my name is Alex, and the name of the program in yellow there is The Ramble, and we're here until midnight tonight from the East Coast of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Larry Bubbles Brown. Okay, hi Larry.
Hey.
What's happening, Larry? Let's just do the whole thing like this. Just, you know, what's new, Larry? Larry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's new? Can you hear me? Huh? You can't.
Okay.
You can't hear me.
I can now. I can. Okay.
Well, I was talking low.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah. You been doing any gigs lately?
I did a very nice winery last Saturday in Livermore, which is full of wineries for some reason. And those very nice places do comedy shows for some reason.
Do you like wine particularly?
It seems to draw a nice crowd. I don't know. They seem to be a little. They're a little older, a little smarter. I don't know.
A little drunker.
A little drunker, yeah. Well, they're definitely. Well, the clubs. That's comics. Our job is to make drunks laugh, isn't it? We're just selling drinks.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you are. You are supposed to sell drinks. That's the only reason. They don't care about you. You have no other use in society but to sell drinks.
Yeah, that's what it is. You break it down.
Yeah. And when you're not selling drinks, you're doing a sitcom. So
Yeah. So yes, entertaining drunks is a. Maybe it wasn't a great career choice. I don't know.
You have to deal with those drunks occasionally. Are hecklers drunks, or are they just hecklers?
You get the kinds that heckle, but sometimes they just get loud and they're talking with their friends, which is kind of worse. It's just noisy and out of control.
Yeah. Well, and the club does nothing about it.
They usually don't, no. And the worst thing you can possibly get is a bachelorette party, a table of drunken women that come in. That's just, they got these high-pitched voices shrieking, and they're just out of control.
That bad?
Yeah, it's pretty bad, yeah.
Wow.
So alcohol is a horrible drug.
Oh, I think it's the worst. I for years have been saying that I never saw anything wrong with Prohibition. Because what happened was the reason Prohibition. Well, Prohibition was an outgrowth of women getting the right to vote and women's suffrage. It was kind of a trade-off, because the women's suffrage movement came out of a desire to stop alcohol. Because women would get beaten up like crazy by their husbands. Who'd go out, they'd get drunk, they'd come home, they'd beat the crap out of them. So the big bane of a woman's existence was their husband going out and getting drunk and losing all the money they had. I know it sounds depressing, folks, but in those days there was an average of, I think, 4 establishments on every street that sold alcohol. Beer in particular, and so it was. There was too much of it, and
people get so violent on alcohol.
Yeah, and so Prohibition comes along, and alcohol is made illegal, and under most circumstances, and this goes on for about. I think Prohibition was maybe 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little more, a little less. And by the time alcohol came back in, the drinking level didn't go up to what it was prior to Prohibition. So the outgrowth of Prohibition that was positive was there was less drinking.
Wow, I never knew that. That's good. That's
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought the minute that alcohol became legal again,
Yeah.
it would go right back to where it was and maybe even get worse. But it didn't. It kind of leveled off, and it became easier to control and so on and so forth. But prior to Prohibition, alcohol was the ruin of this country. I mean, it was...
Yeah, I've seen pictures from that era, just like people drunk and lying face down in the street.
No, it was horrible. It was just horrible. So I never was against Prohibition as a stopgap measure to slow things down. Would be a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
You know, and it did slow things down. But I mean, alcohol is probably the worst drug we have. It's worse than heroin. It's worse than anything. And people say, "Oh, worse than heroin?" Yeah, heroin's highly overrated as a bad drug. Not that it's a great drug. It's just highly overrated. Alcohol is a much worse drug.
Yeah, you don't. People in heroin aren't killing people driving.
Yeah, well, you don't die from alcohol. Yes, you do. You know, alcoholism has killed people. Cirrhosis of the liver has killed people. It's just slower. When heroin decides to kill you, it decides to kill you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there's been some great movies about alcoholism. The Lost Weekend.
Yeah, it's a guy who sells his typewriter for alcohol. Let's see, how many bottles of alcohol can I get for this typewriter? Who was it? It was Ray Milland. That Ray Milland. God, you're so good. And that was before you were born.
Yes, but I remember seeing the movie when I was young, so it kind of scared me. He was having those the delirium tremors, and you get from alcohol, and it made me thought. And I don't drink, but that reinforced it. Well, I'm never going to have a drink.
Well, the worst movie ever made to prevent people from quitting heroin was Man with the Golden Arm. Picture with Frank Sinatra.
That I never saw.
In which he played a guy who was a heroin addict, and he then tries to quit, and his girlfriend, who I think was... Who played his girlfriend? I'm thinking Kim Novak, but I don't think so. I don't know. But anyway, he goes through these horrible convulsions and tremors and sees, and the thing is that, yes, getting off of heroin is not a pleasant thing, but it's not that bad either, And so a lot of people who would think about, oh, hey, I think I'm going to quit heroin, go to see this movie and go, no way I'm quitting heroin. I'm not going through that. And it had a death blow to, people who were trying to quit heroin. So, whatever. So anyway, how's your health? How's your hernia? This is what we talk about as we get older, folks.
Yeah.
How's your hernia?
Interesting you should ask. I just made a call. Can you get me in soon, please? Because it's not getting any better. So.
Really? They actually,
sore and sore. So.
Well, they did this, this whole body thing with me, with a CT scan, the head, the torso, the body, and they saw my hernia, and it said,
really,
it basically said it wasn't a problem, said it isn't impacted at all, So I have a good hernia, so I don't worry about it anymore.
Yeah, you can. If it's that small, you just let it go. So.
I think as it was growing, it was kind of bothering me, but not. See, folks, this is what people talk about when they get older. How's your hernia? Well, my hernia is fine. It's a little better than it was. So you're going to go have it taken care of?
They're trying to get me in there. I don't know when it's going to. It's Kaiser, so I'll be dead by the time I get in there. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which will see, the great thing about death, it solves all your problems.
You certainly don't have to worry about that any longer. Here's the thing: you have a joke in your act, which you may as well you know the one I'm referring to here about knowing when you were going to die.
Yeah, it would be great if you knew what day you were going to die, but not the year.
Exactly. But here's the thing that I always think: like, I've got this money, and I've got a bit of money in the bank, more than most people actually, but not as much as I would like to have. So it's sitting there, right? And I'm going, I don't dip into it much. I'm being very careful, so I have it squirreled away for my old age. The only problem is I am old, okay? And how much longer am I going to live? And if I die and leave all that money behind, well, maybe Marjorie gets it, but let's say she goes before me, then nobody gets it, and I should have been spending it. If I knew exactly how long I had to live.
Yeah, that'd be nice to know, so you could, like, leave a nickel.
Exactly, and max out the credit cards, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, max them out and then say, hey, suckers, it's yours to deal with. You know, I had a good time.
Exactly.
You know, I went to Europe and I had quiche, you know, whatever. So it would just be nice to, but not know what year. God, that would be terrible. Every year, like July 7th would come, and you'd be waiting all day to see if you made it through the day.
Right. Yeah.
Now, would it be better to know when you were going to die? No, that wouldn't be good either. You know, so.
Yeah, you'd have to prepare for that. So.
Yeah, but you know, we've lost a lot of people lately, a lot of comedians.
I think the last year, let's see, we lost Gilbert Gottfried, Bob Saget, Norm Macdonald.
Yep. Gilbert, I felt real bad about. Gilbert was a big,
Gilbert, and we lost not known as being a comedian, but Kevin Rooney.
Oh, Kevin Rooney died?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's in the last month, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that. Kevin Rooney, in case people don't know, is one of the funniest comedians I've ever known. I mean, he was, but he basically made his big bucks writing TV shows.
He got into writing TV shows, back in the 90s when TV was throwing money at people. He got a huge development deal, and I think he had a house in L.A. and France.
Wow. And how old was he when he died?
71.
God, what did he die of?
He had complications from, he had diabetes, and I think he may have had a stroke along the way.
Wow. Sugar, we were talking about alcohol not being good for you. Try sugar.
Yeah.
Try sugar.
Sugar is unbelievably.
You know, I have not, to my knowledge, except for a couple of weeks ago I had some because somebody had a very nice dessert they made and I was at their house and I didn't want to turn down their dessert, so I had sugar. But I don't think I've taken sugar into my system for 20 years. You know, because there's so many good sugar-free substitutes now that you can go your whole life and not have to have sugar. And so I don't do sugar at all. Do you do sugar?
No, it's incredibly destructive to your system.
Well, I mean, it causes, it does cause diabetes.
And also very extremely addictive.
Yes. That's the other reason I don't do it, is I quit it because I wanted to lose weight initially. Then it was okay because I didn't get as many cavities. Okay, I went to my dentist and my teeth weren't rotting. You know, if you ever go to England, the British love their jelly candies. You know, the jelly.
Why they have bad teeth.
And that's why they've got such bad teeth. Yeah. But so, I mean, I just found that by not doing sugar, I really, but if I did some sugar, boy, man, I got a sugar rush. Just incredible. And you don't want that. You really don't want that. You know, things taste just as good using some of the sugar substitutes. Marjorie, when we first got married, she baked me, some kind of sweet thing, and I go, why don't you use Splenda in that? Why don't you now stevia in that? And she went, you can't cook with that. I said, yeah, there's a powdered version of Splenda that you can use just like sugar. If you use a cup of sugar, you can use a cup of this Splenda. So she tried it, and she said, gee, this doesn't taste any different than it would have if I'd used sugar. So now she uses that to do sweet stuff.
Unlike the early ones that were so horrible. That diet drink Tab was
the my God,
worst crap I ever drank in my life.
We knew somebody who was addicted to Tab. You remember?
Oh yeah.
Bob Goldthwait.
He would come to your show with a 6-pack and drink.
And he would do it. He would just tab. Yeah, right. Okay, fine. He tried to quit Tab, and he said it was like a buzzsaw going through his brain. He said it was horrible to quit Tab. He finally did it, but, it was horrible. And he thought he was doing a good thing by doing Tab and not Coke. But now they have, Coke Zero, which tastes just like the real thing.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrific. I love it, And I'm buying sugar-free seltzer, flavored seltzer, which I love. I have it right here. This is my strawberry lemonade flavor, So it's good. But sugar is not good for you at all. That, if I had a kid, I would make sure he never got sugar. And parents will always shut up their kids by giving them sugar. They think they're shutting them up. They actually go crazy on it. But kids also, as a kid, you're really attracted to sugar. I don't know why. But kids always, they always want.
It gives you that energy that lasts for a little while, and then you crash.
Well, parents have learned not to give their kids sugar, because what happens is they turn into little monsters.
But it's funny how things that are bad for you seem to be so addictive.
Now let me ask you this: you've never been married, right?
Nope.
And never had any kids.
Not that I know of.
That's what we always say. Not that I know of. I've had one kid that I do know of, but I don't know where he is or who he is. Maybe I think he's Howard Stern is who I think he is, actually. But you never had any kids. Do you feel any regret not having any kids?
Not at all, no.
Not at all. Because I've started having regrets. I don't know why. Maybe it's I want somebody to take care of me in my old age. I don't know. But I just, I went, maybe I made a mistake there by not having kids. Like Marjorie never had any kids either. So we're two people who never had kids. So we're two of the most selfish human beings you've ever met in your life. But we never had any kids either. And lately I've just been going, gee, do I have a regret in life? And I go, well, what would it have been like to have a kid? But then again, I then say, it being selfish about it, I probably never would have had the career I had I had kids. Because what do you think about all of a sudden? How am I going to take care of these kids? How am I going to feed these kids?
Hold you back, yeah.
Yeah. Am I going to take... where I would leave a station and say, screw you, bye, and I go find myself another job somewhere in another city on the other half of the country, right?
Right.
Well, I couldn't make those decisions if I had a kid and a wife or a family. I'd think about them first before I made a rash.
Yeah, that's the reason I didn't get into it. That's such a responsibility. I didn't want it, so...
Well, you probably never would have gone into comedy.
No.
If you had a wife and kids.
Yeah, that would be impossible to pursue if you're married with a kid.
But then I got to a point in my life where, hey, I could have kids and I had a career, and I should have then had kids. Do you remember I went through a period of time on the radio show in San Francisco where I was looking for somebody to have a kid by me?
Yes.
You do remember that?
I do.
Didn't have any luck, did we? Like, yeah, I like you, Alex, but I don't want any kids by you, No, but I went through that period on the air, didn't I say it? That I was looking for somebody to have a kid with.
You did.
And that I felt, I really felt, and I still believe, that you could have a kid with somebody that's just a good friend of yours. You don't have to be in love and have all that stuff going. In fact, that's probably terrible because that stuff dies. But if you're really good friends, you could probably be friends forever.
Might be better.
And you both solved a problem that vexed both of you, and that is, I want kids. And that would have been. I just saw that as a possibility.
Yes.
Or somebody would have a kid by me, and then they would go away and leave the kid with me. Because at that point in my life, I could afford to take care of a kid, and still do my job. Things like that. And then you meet a lot of women in the grocery store too. That way, what a cute kid. Yeah, it's mine. Yeah.
Well, I just saw to raise a kid to age 18 today costs about $300,000.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder how much it cost when my parents had me. I think it was $1.30.
We were cheap.
Well, kids didn't cost that much. What did you have to do? You had to buy them clothes, and it's one more mouth to feed. But you've already got
clothes
two.
And food, and I don't know if then after they're 18, you're going to spend a ton of money if you're going to send them to college. So.
Yeah. Well, my parents never had that problem with me. I went to college for a short time. I went to. I was already in radio. I was doing radio, and I went to San Francisco City College because they had a radio station there. And after about a year of being taught broadcasting in school, I said, this sucks. I'm getting out of this. Because they're not teaching you anything that's practical. Like here we were, this was in the late 1950s. Okay, and they were teaching people how to do radio dramas. Which nobody did those anymore.
Right.
What you had to teach them to be was like a disc jockey or a talk show host or whatever, and they weren't doing any of that. So finally, I just said, this college thing's ridiculous. We don't get along. Plus, I've already got a job. Nobody's going to tell me, well, you need to have college to get a job. So I quit and never went back to college, and considered my education complete when I just paid attention to everything around me. Yeah. Did you go to college?
A couple of years, yeah, a waste of time.
Oh, okay, same thing, right? Why did you quit?
Yeah.
Why did you quit?
Yeah, same reason you did. I was not getting anything out of it.
There was no comedy college.
There was no comedy. No.
You know what about comedy that is amazing? I think it's still one of the only professions that you can't learn. You just do it, and that's your schooling. Am I right?
I think you just have to do it. Yeah.
I mean, could you, if somebody said, Larry, you're very funny, why don't you come to this college and do a course on how to do comedy? You couldn't come up with a formula for those kids, could you?
No, I don't think so. The way I got into comedy was I went to the open mics and just watched comics for about a year.
Yeah, right. And watched what they did.
Yeah.
Did you steal any material in the beginning?
I did not steal material, no, but
what did you listen for? How a joke was constructed?
Yeah, and what they were all doing. It was, and I had some good people to watch. I had Bobby Slate and Jeremy Kramer and Dana Carvey, and I saw some very funny people here. So.
Yeah.
And they're all different, so.
They were all different.
You know.
Did you have one in particular that influenced you?
I didn't do anything like him, but yeah, I would say Jeremy Kramer was my.
Was your idol?
Yeah.
People don't even know who we're talking about.
No, but I would say the most unique guy that came out of here from at least our generation, don't you think?
Yeah, but I think, and I'll finish on this, one of the reasons I say that you don't want to be called a comedy genius because it hampers you. It
yeah, exactly.
hobbles you. And everybody, oh, Jeremy Kramer, so he just felt because he was a comedy genius, which just should all come to him. And yet there were other comics like Will Durst who knew that they weren't inherently funny, and that if they were going to be funny and be good comics, they'd have to really work at it, you know. And those are the, you know. So, but if you ever get a chance, well, where are they going to hear Jeremy Kramer? You know, I don't even know if he's on YouTube. Anyway, hey, that's it. We've run out of time, my friend.
We have.
Next week, huh?
You got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, and thank you very much once again to Larry Bubbles Brown. A lot of people were listening to Larry today. Yeah, good for you. You're listening to a funny, interesting, intelligent guy, and that I like. Okay, we only have one person waiting. God, this is getting pathetic, just absolutely pathetic. But I will put him on here so that he is with us. Let me see here. There we go. Okay, let me see here. Here we are. There's Josh Wheeler, ladies and gentlemen. And let me see here. Alan's jumping in here. Okay, we got Alan. Hello, Alan. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. Hello, Josh. Hello, Alex.
Yes, Josh will be doing the show after us.
Right.
Again tonight.
I planned on that.
Yeah, which is kind of you'll have to call Zoom as opposed to how you normally call to.
I normally click
Jack.
the link on gabnet.net.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's very simple. Oh, here comes Charlene. She joins us for 2 nights in a row.
And now all we need is Phil Meyer.
All we need is Phil Meyer,
Yeah.
who was writing me today. I mean, he was almost worse than Tony. You know,
I do know.
he was sending me stuff about, there were a whole bunch of folders that didn't have anything in them, right? And he keeps sending me, see, they didn't have anything in those folders, see?
Right.
Yeah, well, Phil, I got news for you. There's a suspicion there was stuff in those folders, and they were taken out of those folders by your boy Donald, and maybe sequestered somewhere else, or not even on the property by the time.
Yeah.
So just the fact that the folders were empty, but they said confidential on them. Why would they be empty? Unless somebody removed the stuff that was in there. So anyway, I just thought I would bring that up. Hello there. Boy, we have 2 darkened people tonight, Kevin and Jeff. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Jeff, turn on the, oh God.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay.
Thank God.
Now that makes us, wakes us right up, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm getting these things from Phil all day. You know, where are the folders? There was nothing in the folders. See, nothing in the folders. You know what I don't get though? You know this judge they've been going to that's been saying, we've got to appoint a special grand marshal or whatever that thing is. You know, and I'm gonna. She made the Justice Department release some of the stuff they had gotten, or she did it. And what they should have, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they say, Judge, you should recuse yourself because you were appointed by Donald Trump? Why didn't they even ask that of her?
She's a federal judge in Florida.
Yeah, but why? Why? Right? Don't they ask her to recuse herself? She should have recused herself without even thinking about it.
Yeah, well,
You know?
I think it's a waste of time. It's Donald Trump trying to get the government to drag their feet. I mean, the Justice Department has had all these documents for 4 weeks already. What's the people going to look at and say this should be seen or this shouldn't be seen? It's already been seen.
Yeah, right. It's ridiculous.
Why even have this extra person in the picture?
It's really ridiculous. But anyway, so I keep getting these things from and finally I wrote them and I just said, stop already. You know? I'm not on right now. You know? So. And I'm not in a position lately in my mind to argue these things. You know? I'm just not as sharp as I was at arguing. You know? And what do I need to argue at this point in my life? What are you smiling about, Kevin?
Arguing with Phil.
It's useless. You know.
It's like arguing with this, a blank piece of paper.
Yeah. I mean, why should I?
He thinks he's gonna change your mind and you'll be a Republican.
He's not going to change my mind, and you know, I mean, the thing that some people are suspecting is that the reason those folders were empty was because there was something in them, and they want to know what was removed from those folders.
Right.
You know, I mean, Donald Trump has been doing a lot of hinky stuff. Even Bill Barr thinks he's going to wind up in jail.
Yeah.
You know. Who's talking? Who's,
Jeff's wife, Pam. Pam.
what's going on over
There you
there,
go.
Jeff?
That worked good, Jeff. You turned
Jeff
up the
has to
volume.
mute a little. Yeah.
He turned up the volume, and now we can hear. Is somebody going on vacation, Jeff?
Oh, I've got a cousin of mine here. She's
Get a
talking.
ball gag
Oh,
out.
wait a minute. Let's listen to what she's saying.
It's I'm gonna listen. That's all for a while.
So are we.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it on.
Yeah.
Just go get the ball gag out.
So we're coming up on this is what? Oh, this is Labor Day, right?
Yeah,
Is this Labor Day?
it is.
You know what's really funny about Labor Day? When's the last time we ever honored labor on Labor Day? You know, it's just nothing but stories about people trying to get on airplanes that aren't taking off. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Alex, remember Jerry Lewis?
Yes,
You know, I've been obsessed with Jerry Lewis YouTube. I'm watching them constantly. Because I think you said you love Jerry Lewis.
No.
Well, I think you said you liked him. I don't know.
No.
Well, maybe I'm
When
wrong.
I was a kid, I liked him.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
But you know what? You talk about that movie, and they say that the National Archives have, what is it, The Day the Clown Cried?
Yep.
That's amazing. Do you think that in like 2025 they will release that and we'll see something? Because
I don't know
you
if
talk about it. Right?
I don't know if it's going to be ever be made available. I
Because
hear
it's
there
like-
are some people who have copies. There's supposedly somebody has a copy in Hollywood, and
But
he
there's no
invites
full
people
copy.
over once a year to watch it. This was
And
a
it's
film.
really
Are you
tasteless,
familiar
right?
with what we're talking about, everybody? The Day the Clown Cried was a film that Jerry Lewis made about a clown who works in a concentration camp leading children into the ovens.
Holy shit.
Boy, what a rom-com that is. Boy, that is such a fun fest.
Is it going to be like worse than like Springtime for Hitler in Germany, like the producers? Like,
No, that
I mean-
that was funny because it
Yeah.
was meant to be
Mm.
funny. This wasn't meant to be funny.
it was tasteless or something?
No,
right?
it wasn't even tasteless. It was supposedly one of the worst films ever made.
Oh, it was just bad. It wasn't okay.
Yeah. So that's what happened with the Day the Clown Cried. I mean, I would love to see it. Everybody would love to see it. I've seen portions of it. I've seen clips of it.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I've seen clips, but that's it.
You have connections, Alex.
No, it's not connections. You can go online and find them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you put in the day the clown cried on YouTube, and there's something there. You know. So. But anyway, Josh, I don't want to ruin your show for later. But what's been on your mind lately?
Well, yesterday, really nothing, because I worked like 16 hours yesterday for something that I won't mention on air because I would consider it business confidential, and I wouldn't say it on air because I don't want to get in any trouble. But
Yeah.
we had some stuff happen, and pretty much the whole staff was there all day and most of the night. So I didn't get.
What, did some paint cans explode or something?
No, nothing like that.
Bill Meyer wandered into the warehouse.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. We just, had some stuff we had to take care of, so it was a long day. So I know the president gave a speech yesterday. I haven't seen it, really. So
I started watching it, and I just
know too much.
I've been drowsy lately, so I fell asleep.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was at Independence Hall. I'd heard that they were going to go there, and I've been there. It's very nice. I don't understand why. I don't particularly. I almost was going to play it, here before you came on, and I started. I had it on mute. I don't know what the point of the two dressed Marines standing behind him the whole time was.
Yeah.
I don't care for that. I didn't like that garbage when Trump did it, and I don't know what that was, but I didn't like that. I mean, unless there was some point to it that I don't know yet, that I would have to have watched it, and then it would make sense. But I don't know what that was about.
I saw it. It didn't make any sense.
That was I mean, like I said, unless there's something in the speech about, I don't know. But I mean, that to me looked like
all I could
put on, and I don't know.
All I could figure out is that he was fed up. He was fed up with the way the Republicans are acting. And the way it's been, I
guess is what I'm saying is I don't really have a problem with the speech. I have heard like a few snippets about it, and but I guess I don't understand how you give like an anti-fascist speech with two members of the military standing by. I mean, I just didn't really understand that. I mean,
you will listen.
Because I mean, like, fascism to me is sort of in a definition is like, the means of political enforcement through the use of violence. And that violence is typically carried out at some point by the military that the fascist leadership is able to take control of, a la, Germany or whatever. So I was like, what?
Well, I mean, my question
Biden's not a fascist. To say, I'm just saying.
Well, wait a minute. But
what is that? I don't get that. I don't know.
My question is, does this come under the category of being a political speech, or does it come under the category of being just a what do you call it, a pep talk to America?
Well, I think he looks at it as a little bit of both. I mean, I think mostly.
Yeah, look, it sounded to be what I heard. I heard that probably half of it, and it sounded both.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, it
sounded like it was a month before an election speech. It sounded
it's certainly aimed at being a political speech geared toward the midterms and the election. And one of the reasons for that is just because if you ask enough people, you're going to find a lot of people that don't agree with anything that he said, which makes it sort of political by its nature. But you're never going to be able to help that in this country. So, I mean, but it's mostly political, but, I have no issue with that. I mean, he's got the right to give a speech of any type anytime he wants. I mean, Trump gave, but dozens, if not hundreds of those kinds of speeches, But like I said, in the interest of being fair, I didn't care when he did stupid stuff, like put 2 dressed Marines behind him the whole time. I don't know. It was the first thing I saw.
Well, isn't that a misuse of the military? But anyway,
well,
yeah.
I mean, it's
Alan?
allowed. I just don't know what the point was. Like what?
It sounds like I'm the only one that saw the whole thing. So the first thing he said is he's only going after MAGA Republicans. The rest of the Republicans are okay.
Well, how do you define a MAGA Republican?
Well, right.
Somebody that supports Trump, I guess.
Well, it's
No,
funny.
that's not.
A lot of these Republicans are starting to abandon Trump.
Yeah, we've heard that for a while.
Well, no, they are.
I agree.
Which was the political portion of the speech.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other half is he spoke about his accomplishments, kind of like a political thing, and not about Trump.
And then he gave another speech. What today? Was it today?
I think so. Yeah.
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 On the economy.
Yeah, and more about his accomplishments and
Yeah.
things
Well,
like
why
that.
didn't he do that all last night? Why didn't he just put it all in one?
Well, I mean, I think that he did, but I think it's the beginning of a small tour for political reasons leading up to the midterms. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
but-
you're
yeah,
going
but
to see him.
that's-
He's gaining more popularity and more steam, and I think they're slowly
Trying to build on it.
but surely going to run him out there. I mean, which is fine. That is
but
what
that's fine. But the
presidents
fact
do.
is that if it is for political purposes, then it should be considered a political speech, and the Democratic Party should be paying for it.
Yeah, they may have. I don't know. I mean, or like at least for part of it. I mean, they might have paid for like the.
Meanwhile,
the
you got
use
Kevin McCarthy
of-
doing his tour down south as well.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the network's covering that.
I don't know. My understanding was the networks didn't cover that speech last night either.
Not as much. No,
not the, especially at least not the non-paid networks like NBC, ABC, CB. Like
I actually
cable
saw-
networks might have.
I saw-
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I heard from some people at work. Was it wasn't?
I saw it live on ABC. So
at least in this market where I live, they said it wasn't on anything
Well,
except.
Alan just said he saw it
CNN
on.
and
He saw.
MSNBC.
Alan said he saw it on ABC
live.
Okay.
live.
Well,
So
maybe so maybe it was up to local.
listen, I
local
would be.
affiliates whether or not they wanted to put on American Ninja Warrior, something like that, or whatever the fuck that shit's called. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it is unusual though because Biden has kept pretty quiet about Trump and about the Republicans and so on, and I think it's almost as though it seems to me he got to a point where he just said, "I can't take this anymore."
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me, a fed up speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it coincides with some rebound in his power and popularity and ability for people to listen because it happens to come at a time with some accomplishments and a natural decrease in some things that were aggravating people like gas prices, inflation.
Gas prices are down what by
stuff like
by
that.
$1, maybe more.
Yeah, quite a bit from the earlier in the summer. Yeah.
Average 69.
So that's what I'm saying. It's coming at a time when people don't necessarily hear Joe Biden and roll their eyes or whatever. His popularity or approval rating, is up. I don't know, like 5 points or something in the last 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good bump. In 30 days, in the overall. So it comes at a time like that. That's good for him, I guess, and good for the Democratic Party. I mean, I'm that's just what I'm observing. I mean, I'm not here advocating. I mean, that's what a political analyst would probably say. You scored some points. No one's against that.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, if Trump had done the same thing while he was president, I'd be sitting here griping about him using the airwaves for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I did it a little bit. I mean, I think the speech is, mostly fine. Presidents, travel around and they give speeches.
Well, he had the two soldiers behind him. And
I don't understand that.
And I
mean,
wonder.
really
No, wait a minute. But I wonder if Trump was sitting there watching it, going, "God, I should have done that."
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he did do weird things like that sometimes. I don't even remember an example I can give you right now. I mean, it's been a couple years, but he used to do stuff like that, and I would just be like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? Can't you just act like a normal president?
He used to park the helicopters behind him and the airplanes behind him, just like that.
Yeah.
Well, he used to use when he was running for office.
Right.
He used Air Force One as a prop. He would pull it right behind the stage.
Yeah.
You know,
and I didn't care much for that either. I mean, it's not like the worst thing.
My question is, who was paying for Air Force One? Was it the Republican Party?
No, it was you and me.
Really? I mean, they didn't have to pay for that?
Well, I think the campaign at times pays, like all presidents, does pay at times for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Well, I know there's golf.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know the specifics, but I mean, I believe that at times the campaign will reimburse for things like fuel costs for Air Force One, and they won't pay with the main things that he would have had no matter where he was. Like his main Secret Service detail, right? I mean, they're not going to pay anything for that, but the two parties or the campaigns will at time, I believe, reimburse for things like fuel cost. They will reimburse certain municipalities at times for like the overtime that they run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they bring in 30 extra officers for a shift for crowd control or traffic blocking, and it costs the municipality a lot of money, and they will reimburse for things like that. I mean, I've read about, stuff like that before. So that's why I didn't care too much, because all presidents are going to do that. I mean, they have to campaign, they have to travel. When they travel, that apparatus that is, the presidential airlift and all that goes with them. So there's nothing that can be done about that. But I think when you start using certain things like that as like props in your photo I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I got to watch the speech, and maybe there'll be some point to those Marines. Maybe he turns around and says, these two guys are fucking won the Medal of Honor.
By the way, tonight it doesn't seem like anybody's on our chat. Is there a problem with the chat tonight?
I saw it working.
I did notice that your link is not on the YouTube.
The YouTube link isn't there.
Your call-in link. It's usually there. It's not.
Oh, I see. That's because I had to redo it last night, and I guess I didn't put that on there.
That's one thing.
Okay,
no, there's somebody there.
There's somebody. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. That doesn't. You can all go to gabnet.net. Okay, and go click on the thing that says Zoom, and you get to it. You
can also go to Zoom if you've called in before, and it's right there.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Chat's working.
Yeah. So
CNN says the Marines were there for a show that to show that he likes the military.
Well, no, but that's stupid.
But
are we to assume he hates the military?
No,
well, he always ends his speeches with "God bless our troops." He always does that because of his son.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that kind of put me off. I didn't understand why they were standing there.
Yeah, it was strange to me too. And at points, the lighting was down so bad that you could see just the gloves.
Did you notice the one other thing about the lighting? They did a bad lighting job on him last night. His face was green. He looked like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk, yeah.
Yeah.
Have to check that out. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the Marine thing, it was just odd. I mean, it's not illegal or anything like that. I think
the
that
Marines are from some hellhole like Ohio or something.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
Well, also we are I guess we're rid of or through with Serena Williams.
Yep.
She lost tonight.
She finally lost tonight.
I think it's wonderful that they gave her a real proper send off. Okay, but then they had to do it 3 nights in a row.
Yeah, they wore her out
and
at 7:30 every night.
Well, I mean,
what time was it out there?
Here's the deal. Here comes I don't know, Tanya Tennis, okay, and she's playing Serena Williams, All right. So now here they come out, and here's Oprah doing a thing about Serena, and Queen Latifah doing a thing about Serena. And by the way, here's Tanya Tennis. You know, I mean, I felt so sorry for whoever was playing her.
Yeah, they probably gave her a gold watch.
And even the one that won tonight was like, oh, how do you feel like beating Serena? Oh, that's good. See you later.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's talk to Serena. Oh, Serena, how do you feel? Oh, cry for us, Serena. You know.
And she didn't.
Yeah. And
choked up a little bit.
No, she what I saw of it was a nice little speech. She said, without my sister, there would be no Serena, you know, and it was a really nice. It was really nice. Hey, listen, she was the greatest of all time. There's no question about it.
Yep.
You know, and
Tiger Woods of tennis.
Huh?
She is Tiger Woods of the tennis world.
She maybe is a little greater than Tiger Woods
really?
At tennis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't follow tennis too much.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and Tiger was terrific, but you know, he's hey, you know,
he is like watching paint dry.
What do you got? You know, in the majors, maybe you got 20 years before your body starts falling apart. I mean, you got a guy like Rafael Nadal right now, who's just probably he's almost a goat himself, you know, and he's been having, you know, physical problems for the last couple of years. You know,
it's hard on your joints, bouncing around and all that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Charlene.
Oh, is your sports Emmy still over there in the back?
No, it's not here. It's not in the studio.
Because you don't like sports. Good.
What?
That's how you got your sports Emmy. You're going over sports. You know how you really don't like.
Oh yeah, once a year I talk about sports so they don't come take it away from me.
You're good though. You know your sports.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
What have you been smoking?
Every network's been trying to hire me. You know.
Absolutely.
Well, I sent you the reason that we were all working yesterday.
Oh, I see. Well, that I would say is a good
overtime
reason.
That's why you get the big bucks, Josh.
It was a huge paint spill. Okay, no.
Luckily, it was not.
No, luckily it was not. So anyway, I mean, I felt sorry that she didn't win again tonight. It would have been nice if she had, you know, really made a good showing in the end. But come on, you know, she had a baby, and then she was out of playing for a while, and then she had some health problems, and then she came back and she couldn't, you know, once you lose, you know, the routine, I think it's very hard for you to come back from that.
It didn't work very well for Tiger Woods either.
No, it really didn't work well for Tiger Woods. You know, but he did come back. He did win one more green jacket.
Yep.
You know, after people said he wasn't going to come back, so that was a big comeback. Yeah. So.
Well, he still hasn't quit, but.
Yeah. Well, I think.
You can't roll a car and then break your leg in 80 places and then come back very easily. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, some people say, well, what does that have to do with golf? It has everything to do with golf. I mean, your legs being able to, you know.
Somebody told me he was driving away. This is years ago. He was driving away from his wife's house. They had gotten a fight, and she attacked him with what? A golf club?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was BS. Really?
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Oh wow.
Then he ran the car into a tree.
Oh.
That wasn't Lindsay.
That
wasn't Lindsey Vaughn, was it? No.
I forget her name.
Well, maybe it was right around that time.
Was she Swedish or something?
See, the fact that I know these things is why I have a sports Emmy.
That's right.
I just want you to know that. I just want you to.
Right.
That's when he was addicted to porn.
Who?
And it was.
Was he addicted to porn? No,
he was a sex
sex
addict or something.
He was addicted to sex. Yeah.
He was addicted. Well, who? I'm a guy. Okay, you're a guy. Aren't we all addicted to sex? You know.
By
yeah,
nature.
but we don't all get Emmys for it.
I didn't get an Emmy for sex.
Let's see, sports, water sports.
Well, I have one sports Emmy, and then the other Emmy is for performance in a show.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have 2 Emmys, 1 non-sports.
That was for the comedy thing?
No,
Perform.
no, it was for a technology show.
Oh.
Well, you definitely have that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that one was just for me. See, I mean, the sports Emmy I won was a group Emmy for a show for the Beta Breakers wrap-up show at Channel 5. So there were about 7 of us that all got Emmys for that. So that one I didn't get on my own, but the other one I got on my own. The other one was just me, you know. And,
Alex, are you going to make an EGOT?
yeah, right. My Broadway show opens next week.
Right, right.
You could label your Broadway show. I used to be somebody important.
I used to be a big shot.
Oh, a big shot. Sorry, I always get that wrong.
It's one of my favorite things. Used to be a big shot.
Like Public Enemy, right? Public Enemy.
Right.
It does look like a lot of the networks didn't carry that speech last night. I guess there's an article in the Washington Post headlined as Biden warned about democracy's collapse, TV networks aired reruns.
Well, you know, the thing is that for the most part, they don't need to run it on the major networks because nobody watches the major networks anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they ran them on, you know, CBS's streaming service, and they ran them on MSNBC and probably a couple of others, probably CNBC as well. And then they ran it on, you know, ABC has their streaming service. Fox has their streaming service. Plus they, you know, all of these have their, some of them are online, some of them MSNBC, Fox, and so on, have their own channels. They were all on there. So why do you have to put them on Fox local stations? You know, there's no reason, you know. So, you know, I can see why they didn't carry it. I mean, if I were a station, I wouldn't carry it. I would much rather make money off my ad revenue than off of the president's speech. You know, give up time for the president's speech. So,
well, people are currently, you know, somewhat detached from, you know, when their politicians talk to them because they've been lied to a lot, misled a lot. It's a bit of a circus at times. You know, I mean, hey, you said to me, hey, you can keep watching, you know, the second go around of Vikings on Amazon streaming or watch this speech. I'd probably say, I'm good.
yeah,
I'll replay it later on C-SPAN on the internet or something.
yeah.
You know, I mean, people just are a little worn out, and this return of Trump to the news cycle 24/7
Oh my
because
God.
of his own problems is probably not going to help that. I mean,
I was so happy that I felt that once he was no longer president, we wouldn't have to see his face again.
No.
And every day we see his face.
Right. And it's going to remain that way probably right up until he is either not reelected or says that he's not running for reelection.
But didn't these news outfits learn their lesson from the last election? That in fact, if Donald Trump got elected, it was because of them. You know, he didn't have to.
No, they didn't learn. They don't learn anything.
I mean, how many advertising dollars did the Republican Party save as a result of Donald Trump's big mouth? They were on there every day discussing him, you know, even before he got the nomination. I mean, if anybody, you know, if I have to say this, if anybody created Donald Trump, it was MSNBC and CNN.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean,
You know, Fox didn't have to invent him because Fox already had Rupert Murdoch, who decided that Trump would be good for Fox business.
Yeah.
And so In fact, I watched a documentary on Rupert Murdoch, and he didn't like Trump in the beginning. He didn't want to have anything to do with Trump. And then he saw that he'd be good for ratings. And so he said, okay, we're in the Trump business. So, I mean, that was a whole different story. But MSNBC and CNN should be ashamed of themselves.
They did go out of their way. I mean, look, for as much as they're trying now to undo, what they did. Look, the Morning Joe had a lot to do with his exposure to non-hardcore right-wing people. I mean, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski had him on a lot and let him talk and say whatever he wanted and sort of helped him along. And now, they have all this buyer's remorse or whatever.
And the more obnoxious he
which is
got,
fine, but it's a little too late.
The more obnoxious he got, the more they talked about him.
Yeah, I mean, that Mika kind of aggravated me with that, starry look in her eyes, back in the primary season when they went to New Hampshire and had him on live in the little bar they were at, every day, and it got a little out of hand, if you ask me.
Alan?
So before he was president, Larry King interviewed him and Melania right after they got married. It was kind of a yawn. I mean, Larry King was great. He was the best. But interviewing...
Well, he was
Trump,
great for the full hour.
He was,
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't one of his greatest. I mean, he did a good job, but interviewing Donald Trump and Melania, I think Melania was just learning English. But boy, was she hot looking in the.
Well, that's fine, but that's not the reason I voted for president. So I can jerk off to his wife.
Yeah.
Well,
Me,
I was glad to see that Sarah Palin lost her bid for.
Oh yeah, that's right.
oh, did she? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
She did not. She didn't.
first
win.
Democrat running up there in Alaska.
Really?
yeah.
And
yeah.
who are they? They're running for a seat held by who? A Republican or a Democrat?
It was a Republican.
Yeah, probably was a Republican.
Well, I mean, it was for the primary, right? That she didn't make it.
I
Correct.
think so, but
I think
I don't
she
know.
fell on the ballot for the primary.
yeah, I don't know if it was a special election to replace somebody. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I just saw that she didn't win. She lost to that other.
I
There was
think
another woman that she was running against that I can't remember her name, but yeah, she lost.
That wasn't Murkowski, was it? No.
No, it was I mean, someone I'd never ever heard of. So obviously someone up there local that I don't think had any sort of national exposure in the past, and she didn't win. So maybe we're rid of her for a while.
Well, I think she'll probably give up now.
Yeah, I would hope. I mean, maybe she'll start her own social media network so she can get the truth out there.
By the way, you do know that Trump hasn't been paying his bills on his social media network.
I find that hard to believe.
Mary Pelota.
Mary
Peltola.
Eltola?
Peltola.
Peltola. Is that right?
Yeah.
Peltola?
Peltola.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's it's nice she lost. I mean, she she's an obvious crackhead, so.
Lucy,
Nice.
crackhead.
Yeah, so I mean, it's this is the last thing I want to do is listen to her. I mean, it'd be like having that Michelle Bachmann come back. I mean, Jesus, I can't listen to that. Someone talking in circles, complete nonsense over and over again every time they're on television.
Where was Michelle Bachmann from?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I believe so. Yeah.
She disappeared, right?
Yeah. Remember, she did something there at the end that really kind of finished herself off. Did she use campaign funds or?
I don't know. All I know
something
is
like that.
that she
for
was
like
around for a while and she was disgusting, and then all of a sudden she
yeah.
wasn't disgusting anymore because she wasn't around.
Yeah, she was going to end up leaving, and then right around the same time, I think there was allegations or decent evidence of something, and I don't even remember what it was. I thought it was misuse of campaign funds, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, she was going to run for president, or well, she actually did in 16, I think, right? You know, at the very, very beginning.
You know what I want to bring up here, though, that I can't figure out? The Republicans make a big deal out of this, and I can't understand why. And that's the whole Hunter Biden deal. I mean, just because Hunter Biden may have done something, let's say wholly illegal, let's say he did, what does that have to do with Joe Biden?
It really doesn't.
Oh, I see what happened.
What?
Don Young died. Special election put this Peltola lady in, and then the next election.
Yeah. But I think she's got to run again.
Palin will be back.
Yeah, maybe, but
Okay.
but I think
She'll run again against Peltola, Nick Begich, and Sarah Palin. Those are both Republicans.
Oh, so Palin will be running again.
She'll be running again the next
So
election.
she's not finished.
This is a short-term coverage for the Don Young who died.
Did she bring up that she could see Russia from her toilet seat or something?
Yeah.
But Tina Fey will be back in business again, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. This is a short-term thing, so she really doesn't care, I guess.
Yeah.
They're going to run again.
Okay. Well, you know. But anyway, it's Labor Day. And as I said, you know, when's the last time we really honored labor on Labor Day? Right? We hold telethons and we hold barbecues. And, oh, by the way, I was watching Gilbert Gottfried. And they were doing a roast of George Takei at the Friars Club.
Mm.
So he's doing one gay joke after another. And he said, how can you tell you're at a gay Labor Day picnic? The hot dogs taste like shit. God bless Gilbert. I miss him. I so miss him.
I find that very offensive. I think that anyone who sponsors him, we should.
You know, the thing is, though, here's the thing. He was doing one gay joke after another, and people were laughing at it, and nobody was laughing more than George Takei. Okay, and what was terrific about that is it shows that if you don't have any malice in what you're doing, how can people be offended by it? You know, intent is what's important. Now, if I just told that joke myself right here, everybody would go, oh, he's in bad taste. They may have said I'm in bad taste right now for having told that joke. But it was at a Friars Club roast, which are filthy. If you've ever been to a Friars Club roast, they're filthy. And
hot dogs are brown.
Huh? And
the hot dogs are brown.
And he was having and Takei was loving every minute of it, and the audience was laughing. And this was just a few years ago, so we were already into this, everything being politically correct and so on and so forth. But you not for 1 second felt that any of these jokes that Gilbert was telling were meant to hurt. You know, they were meant to make you laugh about yourself, about other people. You know,
well, it's called a joke.
Yeah. Well,
that means I didn't mean it.
I tell jokes all the time, including Jewish jokes. I mean, you know. And then somebody says, "Oh, that's in poor taste." I said, "Not to me. I'm Jewish."
Well, no, I like the fact that I can tell Jew jokes, and then nobody can come. You know.
That's right.
Oh, you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
You know. Listen, I'm a Jew. I hang out with other Jews. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough reason to not like them?
I guess if you don't like some of them, then I guess you are anti-Semitic.
Right? Am I right, Jeff?
Absolutely.
You know.
Three of us on the show tonight, so
I'm back on. Took a little bit of
No, but we have this.
Re-energizing my system.
Yeah, well, the thing is that gets me about holidays like Labor Day is that we lose all track of what they're about. It was meant to celebrate labor,
Yeah.
which is a very important.
There is no labor, hardly.
It's kind of a socialist holiday if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and yet we don't honor labor any longer. You know, when you turn it on, they go, well, what's happening on Labor Day? Well, the people are having they're at the airport and the planes aren't taking off. You know, to begin with, who goes on a trip during Labor Day?
Why not?
Who? But who does? Who does it over Christmas? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? And then you say, "Oh, I was stuck at the airport, and my plane wasn't taking off." Yeah, but you did this on Labor Day weekend.
Right.
You know, I would never get on a plane. I wouldn't get on a plane on a Wednesday, to be honest with you. But Labor Day is, is ridiculous.
What's with
No,
Wednesday?
My wife and I have, my friend Shecky, who loves taking trips. Okay, he goes everywhere. Exotic cruises, he went to hang out with the penguins in Iceland, in the Antarctic, right?
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Well, he says it's not as cool as you think because you've never smelled penguin shit.
No.
He said when you're standing in the middle of a bunch of penguins, he says suddenly there's this odor that is not to be believed of desiccated fish. Okay. But Shecky finally, he was going to go out to California this weekend, and then he decided not to because he just said, I can't go through the process of getting in a line and going through TSA. He even has a speed thing with TSA, but he says then you got to get on the plane, and the plane is stuffy, and all the people are farting, and it's just it's terrible.
That's why we drive everywhere. I mean, my wife and I, we travel a lot.
Yeah, but if you did it this week, if you did it this weekend, it'd be bumper to bumper.
Sometimes it is. I mean, it depends where you're going.
But if I were to go on a vacation, I mean, I don't know if I can drive any longer. I would drive. I would absolutely drive.
Oh yeah, that's what we do. I mean, for various reasons, the scenery and other things, but part of it is because of what you said, is that airlines are not trustworthy. They treat you very poorly. I mean, they give you the sort of customer service that in many other businesses you wouldn't accept, but you're accepting it from them because there's not that many choices among them. And that's basically your only means of travel unless you decide to drive,
I didn't fly in an airplane till I was 17 years old. For some reason, I just never got around to it. And then it was a military plane because I was flying on a PR junket with some Air Force colonel or something like that. But anyway, that was the first time I ever flew. But prior to that, when I was a kid, I always thought about I always saw pictures of people flying. To begin with, they were dressed to the nines. The guys were all wearing suits, am I right, Jeff? And the women were all wearing beautiful dresses, and they got their best coats and stuff like that. And then they would serve you a full meal, and they were all the hostesses, which were called stewardesses in those days, were very accommodating. Anything I can do for you, coffee,
tea, or me.
Or me, yeah. And it was classy. It was just a classy kind of thing to do, and it only cost.
That was everything.
And all it cost was $3. Who was it told me today that they took a flight from one place to another that I heard, and it was like $18 back in those days. $18.
That's nothing.
I do think the cost is pretty high now, right? I mean, like I said, we don't fly, so I don't know, but I hear people talking about some of it, and I'm thinking, I can't believe it.
Shecky he's not doing it now, but over Christmas, Shecky was going to go to Singapore, catch a boat, and take a boat and go, right? Plane flight for that, $8,000 round trip.
Oh, that's no bad.
But that was like first
I
class.
thought you said it was 18,000 last night.
18,000.
Oh, you
Yeah,
just
I mean,
said
it-
I just said
That's-
18,000.
Yeah. I don't know why some people do, don't do the driving. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like from where I live, for
Because
example,
it's more
if I
fun.
had to-
Because number one, you're not going to drive to Singapore. That's
No.
for starters.
That's true.
And if
That's
you
one
want to, get going now because it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, I very nearly had another position within my company a couple weeks ago that would have involved travel. And that, was the down part about it. One or two of the places that would have been, flight necessary.
Mhm.
But some of the other ones, they're like, you think you'd want to drive or fly? And I'm like, look, from here to Baltimore, for example, from where I live, is like 6.5 hours, maybe 7. I'm like, I would drive. I mean, by the time I drive from my house to this airport, park my car, get on the plane, fly down there, get another rental car. I mean, and all of that involves a hassle to me, because I don't like dealing with people or anything like that. I mean, just
I
Well, I would
suppose
say
just
something
in the
different.
car and leave.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
were you
I
gonna
just
say,
want to tell you
Jack?
something different because we have a very new small airport in New Haven that takes you to various places in Florida and Georgia and things like that.
Mhm.
And Pam has got an issue with her mother. Her mother's 93 years old and she's got problems and whatever. So she takes her to her sister's house in Florida or Georgia and drops her mom off of there. But she takes her money. She goes with her. It cost her, I think, $150. And she gets there, drops her at the airport. Her sister picks up her mother there. And within an hour or so, she gets back on the flight going back.
Oh.
Oh, boy.
And it's wonderful. And the people there are nice and they don't drive you crazy. And it's easy to get on. And it's a relatively smaller airplane, I
Do you,
think.
do you remember when you could check your baggage and they didn't charge you for it?
No, it's
Yeah.
not any of that
It's now
stuff.
$25 a bag.
Yeah, well, Pam doesn't even have a bag.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, and then look at what they're charging for flights, and they're not giving you the service they used to. Service? We don't care about service. We don't even care if the goddamn plane doesn't take off. You know. We'll
I
keep.
drive
yeah.
every year. I drive to Las Vegas. I don't fly. By the time I pack the right things, so it goes through security, and get on the plane and get to the airport an hour before, and fly there and get off the plane, and of course the plane is at the farthest terminal away from where I need to be. Get my baggage, get on a tram to the rental car center, get a rental car. I'm 3/4 of the way there in my vehicle,
Oh yeah.
and it's
No.
a lot more relaxed.
No. If you took a flight from San Francisco or Oakland
Right.
to
Whatever.
Las Vegas,
Right.
first you got to drive to the airport.
That's right.
Then you got to wait, maybe be there an hour ahead of time, right? Then you board the plane. Then, if you're lucky, the plane takes off on time and it lands. By the time you've landed, you probably could have driven most of the way to Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's about a 12-hour drive,
Yeah.
and we figured that by the time you consider how you got to pack differently, and when I drive, I can take anything I want. But anyhow, it takes about 8 hours to go through the airport to fly and end up with a car on the other side.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So I mean, when I was a kid, the idea of traveling air travel, it was a fancy thing you did,
Sure.
and they were very accommodating. Anything you want a hot towelette for your hands, I think they
wanna
may
do a
charge you for
cigarette
that.
smoke.
What?
Cigarette smoke.
Well, there was cigarette smoke. Yes, there was. You could smoke on airplanes, but they did recirculate the air within the airplane, so the smoke did not linger that long. I think the smoking was in the back, if I'm not mistaken.
I love how they have a smoking and non-smoking area on an airplane or a restaurant. Like you're not going to smell the smoke.
Yeah, but
Well, planes are also worked on by human beings. And I've been around maintenance and engineering my entire life, and I can tell you that I don't trust human beings.
well,
I used to go in a customer when I did mobile stuff. I used to go to NetJets, which is where people rent private planes, and there would be their mechanics over in the corner on a Wednesday morning, throwing up in the trash can, talking about how drunk they were last night.
yeah.
Working on a fucking private jet that someone just paid $150,000 to rent to take them.
Well, you know,
So-
there is one thing you have when you're driving. You are controlling that automobile. Okay?
Correct.
You're in charge of controlling that automobile. On airplanes, you're vulnerable because you've got people flying the airplanes and you don't know what condition they're in. You know?
Right.
Man, did I get fucked up last night. Yeah, we're fine. Good.
I've seen it.
Huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't remember, was it like Ryanair or somebody like that? I mean, 60 Minutes did that expose 4 or 5 years ago where a couple of their mechanics did some whistleblowing on them about their shady maintenance practices, and then they fired them. And then they, went to the media, and 60 Minutes did that deal. I mean, they were
Yeah.
pencil whipping, required inspections and things like that.
All right.
Usually when planes have mechanical issues, it's
They did that.
not
they did
one
that.
thing, it's a chain reaction of things, and any part of that chain reaction being broken could have prevented it. But it wasn't, and a lot of times that is due to either cost or human error.
My wife works for a Learjet part supply, and there's many times that I get called up because I have to make a quick delivery out to a local airport out in the valley or something. She'll say, they need this part. They got to get this plane off the ground. And I get all ready and I run over there and I grab this part, and it could be something like this big, and it's got the only thing that's keeping the plane from flying. And I get ready to go over there and I throw it in my truck, and I drive down 10 miles down the road, or not even get that far. And they'll call up and say, never mind, they fixed it. They found something to do. They fixed, they wired something together that the plane's going to go. I'm going, wait a minute. They needed this $3,000 part 10 minutes ago. What did they duct tape together to get this thing going?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Charlene.
Doesn't work out so well.
Somebody put a Band-Aid on it or something.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
A value jet
They had to have it.
By the way,
Florida.
tomorrow, Kevin, big day for us.
Oh, yeah, we got to get up we don't have to get up early either.
2:17 in the afternoon, which would be 11:17 your time.
Perfect.
And there's a 2-hour window too this time.
Yeah.
And they say
Well,
there's an 80%
watching.
chance the weather will be fine.
They just better thermo conduct those parts.
Well, it turns out it was only a sensor.
Yeah,
on
but
the original one.
the connection also didn't seal, so that was a problem.
Yeah. But anyway.
After the Challenger blew up, you know what NASA and a walrus had in common?
No.
They were both looking for a tight seal.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, there's the theme, and everybody have a very nice weekend. Josh is going to be doing the show after ours, but you're going to have to wait a couple of minutes for it to go on, because I got to go over here and do a whole bunch of magic to get it going. But then I hope that a lot of you that are here now will call him, because it is Labor Day weekend, and people have a tendency not to call on Labor Day weekend. As you can see, we have a quiet night tonight. But anyway, thank you so much, Josh. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. And same thing to you. Oh, man, I'm so out of it now. Alan. And thanks to you, Charlene Martinez. And Kevin, thank you. And thank you to Jeff. And I think it'd be nice if all of you gave a big wave goodbye. And I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, folks. There they go. That's our citizen panel for tonight. As I said, Josh will be next on Zoom, okay? So give him a call, will you? Please. I think it's very important that you call him and let him know that you like participating with him, okay? Anyway, we'll see you again on Monday, 4 o'clock, for a Labor Day version of the pop-up show. And then we'll see you again next Wednesday, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.